So personally, if I had to pick an MVP right now, I would be leaning towards either James Harden or Russell Westbrook, but there is some time left in the season, and I think among the top 4 MVP candidates, it's pretty damn close, and I think it's worth talking about for all these guys, and that's what we're going to do. We are going to look at the seasons that James Harden and Russell Westbrook are having, and we are going to discuss what they're doing well, why they should be MVPs, but we're also going to look at the criticisms that you could place upon them too. But there are 2 other names as well, one of them being Kawhi Leonard, who has the San Antonio Spurs as the 2nd seed in the Western Conference right now, and then of course a guy who is always in this discussion, LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And you heard me say it before, you can make a case for all 4 of these guys for different reasons, and I've seen arguments on Twitter, I've seen it in the comments sections of YouTube videos. It gets pretty damn heated, and I think there's a real case to be made for all of them, so we're going to talk about that. But because I'm me, I also like to be more critical when I can be. I think there are some things that you could throw at all of these guys for why they, could hurt their stock a little bit. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to talk about how awesome all these guys are. James Harden. I mean, I'll be honest, I thought the Rockets were not going to be that great this season. I thought their offense was going to be fine, I thought the defense wasn't going to be there. But even so, I didn't picture Harden averaging 11 assists a game. And excuse me as I talk about that, and then none of the clips that you're about to see here are of him actually getting any assists. But that's okay, we'll get to that in a minute. His ability as just a creator in the pick and roll, the way he just kind of slithers towards the rim, and his footwork and the way he angles his body so he can finish with both hands, and the way he draws contact and gets to the free throw line so much, as well as his ability to hit step-back three-pointers. Harden's just great. He would probably be the least athletic guy of the 4 MVP candidates, but it really doesn't hurt him in any way because his craftiness is just through the roof. Then we have LeBron James, and I do think as his career has gone on, LeBron has suffered a little bit from just being so damn good and being consistently towards the top of the NBA that we kind of stop appreciating him, and as a result, we don't just immediately have him in MVP talks all the time. But what's also crazy is you could make the argument that at the age of 32, LeBron is having his best season in like 3 years. His production is up across the board, as he's actually averaging the most amount of assists and rebounds that he's ever put up in a season. His efficiency has gone up, and his three-pointers at 37%, so he's rewritten the tale of his three-pointer falling off from last season. LeBron's just having an all-around fantastic season, and he definitely deserves to be in this thing. Now we're going to talk about Kawhi Leonard, who just keeps on getting better, up to 26 points a game this year, which is huge to be going from 21 to 26. But I think what's also really interesting that might not be being talked about enough, he's attempting about 7.5 free throws a game, which is like 3 more than last season, which is just a testament to how much more aggressive and skilled he is offensively. And then, of course, there is the defense, which was his calling card the moment he walked into the NBA, and he's among probably the top 3 defenders in the NBA this season, as well as being the best perimeter defensive player. Kawhi Leonard's great. And then finally, we have Russell Westbrook, of course, averaging a triple-double at 30 points a game. He's just a crazy person. The way that Westbrook attacks the rim, whether it be in the half court off of a pick and roll, or if he manages to beat his guy one-on-one, or if he's just going full speed in the full court after grabbing a rebound, the guy's just as fearless as it comes. And of course, that allows him to make the rest of his teammates better as of course, if you want to average triple-double, you have to get over 10 assists a game. He's able to do that, and we are going to touch on this a little bit later on in the video, but what he's doing with Oklahoma City, given that the talent around him is definitely good, there's no doubt about that, but I would say it's fair to say that the level of talent around him is not to where it is with the other guys in consideration for the MVP. It's very impressive what Westbrook is doing. Also, he's probably the most well-liked guy in the NBA, given that he decided to stay, whereas Kevin Durant chose to leave. that really doesn't matter, but I need to fill in these last like 10 seconds, so I decided to go with that one. Here's another thing. I think all of these guys have one thing about them that kind of stands out from the rest of the pack. With James Harden, I think it's the playmaking. I mean, 11 assists a game, while also putting up high 20s. He's a little bit more willing to have other guys run the offense at times than Westbrook is, which I wouldn't say is necessarily a bad thing. It's just how Harden kind of is with his playmaking. Mike D'Antoni put the ball in his hands more often, and now his teammates have got to be loving it, I'm assuming. I mean, there was the recent stat that showed Harden is the first guy ever to contribute to 2,000 points scoring and then 2,000 points assisted in a season. And of course, a big reason for that is because the Rockets shoot 1 million three-pointers, but it's pretty ridiculous just how much James Harden can do for a team offensively, just as one guy. It's kind of insane. And now for Westbrook, yeah, now we're going to dive into the team that he has around him a bit more. His playmaking has been damn good this season, and when you look at the guys around him, I mean, there's not a lot of natural offensive players here. Like Robertson, I mean, just not a good shooter. Very good on defense, but the guy can't shoot. Steven Adams is never going to get his own shot off. He has to be helped out by a guy like Westbrook, or where he can get dump-off passes, or he can just be in pick and rolls. Taj Gibson, who they recently acquired. Another guy who knows how to play off of a star, but he's not going to command that much attention from the defense. He's got Enes Kanter, who is a very good scorer down low. And then the other guy is Victor Oladipo, who's a nice 16-point scorer. When you look at the talent that the other guys have, Westbrook just doesn't have a second or, in some cases, a third guy who really attracts the defense like that. And when Westbrook has been sitting, it's been pretty ugly for OKC this season. I think for Russ, the one thing he has over the other guys is his carry job is just a little bit more difficult. Now, if we talk about what Kawhi Leonard has that stands out amongst the other guys, it's pretty obvious. It's the defense. I mean, NBA teams this season have been having their small forwards just stand in the corner to get Kawhi Leonard out of the game, so it's basically 4-on-4 basketball. The guy is that intimidating of a defensive player, and he's just at a level that the rest of these guys are simply not at, or in LeBron James' case, not at anymore. And then you combine that with what he does offensively, it's just great. I mean, there's no better two-way player in the NBA right now. And I am going to address a little bit how Kawhi's production does not match the other guys, but just the impact that he makes on defense. Some people feel that that is enough to make up for the fact that he doesn't get 7 or 8 assists a game, but we'll talk about that one a little bit more as we go. And now for LeBron, what does LeBron have that just could give him an edge over the rest of the guys? I think it's the fact that he's the most balanced between all of them. He gives you more production than Kawhi Leonard does, as he's up to 8 assists and 8 rebounds a game, but he's also way more efficient than James Harden and Russell Westbrook have been this year. I mean, LeBron's shooting 54% from the field or something crazy, which isn't that crazy because it's LeBron James, but that's still an insane percentage given how much he's asked to do for the Cavaliers. I also think LeBron could gain some points with people because we all know he's still the best player in the NBA. I mean, the heights that he went to in the finals against the Warriors, no one else here has been able to go to those levels, and I think that matters, the fact that we still know that he's the best player in the league. So now we can get a little more critical because I love to do that. Kawhi Leonard is just not as much of a playmaker as Harden, Westbrook, or LeBron are. The guy's averaging 3.5 assists per game, and I understand that San Antonio's offense does not call for one guy to have the ball too much, but I mean, the defense is there, but when your creation ability is just so much worse than the rest of the guys, that's going to hurt you quite a bit. If we look at LeBron James and the Cavaliers, it's been a rough season. They've been the second worst defensive team in the NBA since the All-Star break. They're 22nd in defense for the season overall, and I understand that LeBron, he's not going to go 100% in the regular season, and I get it. That's still going to hurt you if your Cavs are losing weird games to the Pistons on Wednesday nights where it's just you guys should win that game, come on. Now, in the case of James Harden as well as Russell Westbrook, if you're really about Kawhi Leonard's defense, and there are definitely some people out there, I've seen them, who just say, if you know, they're not two-way players, they don't make a huge impact on that side of the floor, and then Kawhi Leonard does, then I suppose these guys just not being the best defensive players in the world would definitely matter to you. Westbrook has potential to be a damn good defender, but he falls asleep when it comes to like assignments and the day-to-day defense, I guess, providing help and defending on the pick and roll. To me, I would still side between Harden and Westbrook a little bit more than LeBron and Kawhi, but I can definitely understand the rationale in going with any four of these guys, and I think it's really close. I think sometimes people think that, like, you think the first guy's the MVP and the rest of the guys suck. Like, no, that's not the case whatsoever. But anyway, hey, it's an exciting MVP race, and there's still some time left in the season, so who knows what's going to happen.